All right, so welcome to Intuition to Income 2022. And as you can see, I have my dear best friend here coming to you live for this beautiful interview. And we just wanted to do this together because she's here visiting. And also just to share a little bit more about the Intuitive Success Club so you can learn how you can apply it even after the summit. So, Liz, I know you've been a part of the club. We always talk about it. But I'm like, what do you want to say that you've never said before?
About intuition, the club, or
Whatever you want, sister.
so I've this is something I've been thinking about for a little while. Is common question is like, what is intuition in business, and what is intuition in your life? And it's really, how do you apply it? So I talk a lot about mindset with my clients too. I say it's mindset and intuition, and really it comes down to intuition is following your guidance, and then the mindset is creating the freedom to follow that guidance. So trusting yourself. And where it comes in business is trusting yourself to live the dreams you have in your heart and believing that they're there. And I know this because I was guilty of it, and I know a lot of other people that they say, I'm very intuitive, but don't really listen to what I'm hearing. And so that's really what it comes down to is one, knowing you're intuitive or knowing how to listen to intuition, and then putting in the time and effort to follow it. I'm guilty. I spent
No, she's awesome.
I spent my 20s ignoring my intuition completely. I had to have quarter life crises for my intuition to have an intervention and change my life. And that happened in a couple different times. And I know that that was from my intuition. And that's really how I came to business coaching too, and mindset and intuitive success coaching is because of the changes it created in my life and the changes it created, even in just 1 year doing the intuitive success coaching program, trusting myself to listen to my intuition and create my dream life is what it comes down to. And you can't imagine it until it's happening. Then you're like,
I'm living
wow,
it.
yeah.
Totally. I love it. So I love that you kept saying your intuition. And for everybody listening, I feel we all know what our intuition is, but I'm curious, Liz, like how would you describe actually feeling what your intuition feels like? And you may all want to ask yourself that, right? Like, what am I really listening to? I want to make sure this is my intuition, right? Not something else.
And everyone's different. So I actually do ask my clients that. I'm like, how do you notice your intuition? And for me personally, I notice I get more of a knowing. I don't get it in my senses. I don't hear it or smell it, or I get just a, oh, this is the right answer. Or when something is particularly true, someone else has said something true, I get a tingle down my spine. So for me, that's how I'm like, ooh, like that's true. But it's a very subtle feeling. And so if you're not paying attention to it, it's easy to pass it over too. So that's the first step to listening to intuition is knowing what your intuition sounds like. Is it that little you wake up one morning and you're like, ooh, I really want to do this. Maybe it's inspiration. Inspiration is another way that intuition comes into your life. So if you get inspiration and you're always like, no, I don't have time for that. I'm too busy. I got too many things to do today. This is my list. I have to work on this project before that project. That is the first step to really bringing intuition into your business is how can you have a plan in your day, but how can you also listen to the inspiration that comes up? Maybe you just really want to work on this project that's the end of your list. It's the least important. Can you be okay with saying, okay, my intuition is telling me this. I'm really inspired to do this. I will do this one first, and then I take that inspiration and excitement that came from this project and put it into the first item on my next list. So I'm all about high performance habits. Like, what are the tricks and that you can take into your life to make life easier? But then how can you bring your intuition into it too?
Absolutely. And something really simple I was talking about with my partner yesterday of what your yes and your no is. So I'm like, hey, like, what does your yes feel like? And what does your no feel like? Right. And to actually have him, tell me. And then you also say, okay, when I say yes, when I've ever said yes in my life, what does that feel like? So I invite you now in this moment to do the same thing. So when you have said yes to something, how does your body feel? Just take a moment to notice. Is it heavy or light? Is it expansive? Like for me, my heart expands. I feel a lightness. I feel like I want to move towards it. I'm like, ooh, I like this. Like it's a positive feeling, right? I think he said it feels good. It feels positive, right? So notice that for you and just allow that energy to build your yes. Because this is your intuitive yes. You even want to bring your thumb and your index finger together. You can anchor that feeling. And this just tells the nervous system, hey, every time I do this, this is my yes, right? And I'm going to feel this good. Yes feels pretty good, so it's fun to anchor. So you can go ahead and release that. And then we're going to do your no. So, what does your no feel like? So, think about a time where you just said no, like, that is absolutely not okay, right? And so, for me, I'll get like this, like, with my gut, it kind of, not constricts, just goes like this. Yeah, constricts. It's tightened a little bit. So, just notice what your no feels like in your body. Taking a few deep breaths. And once you feel like you have your no, that you know what it feels like, you can blink open your eyes. And now you have what I call your inner compass. You can use discernment. You can say, I'm walking down this path and my intuition says yes to this and it says no to this, right? And so it's decisions in business, in life, in relationship, in travel, right? And it's really fun because it can surprise you. I know when I was in Bali one time, Alyssa's like, oh, I want to go to this store. I could just feel guided, right? And then there was yet another group of kids we could help. So it's like you never know always why your intuition is saying something, but trust that is guiding you. And if you listen to those cues of your yeses, move away from the no's, you're going to be in flow.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing I encourage my clients to do too is make it a game. So anything where you can make it fun and playful is great. So one of the most common ways I've got a Mustang that I love driving. So sometimes I will just go for a drive and I'm just like, I come to an intersection. I'm like, what feels good, left or right? And I don't overthink it. I'm just like, oh, okay, left. Oh, right. And I found some just really awesome new trails to explore. Became the site of a photo shoot that was this really old school classic style gas station. And it was just like, oh, that was just such a fun adventure. I just had no expectations and I went out and had fun. But sometimes you can't spend the afternoon. So, like, how can you bring it into your day? Maybe when you go for your walk. Do I go left or right? Don't just follow the same route, but just play with your intuition. Oh, what feels good today? Oh, maybe it's the sunshine on this route. Maybe it's like there doesn't have to be a big life changing result, but the more you use, it's like willpower is a muscle. Like your muscles are muscles. The more you use a skill, the easier it is to resort to. So use it on the little things where you're not having to make a decision. You're just like, oh, this feels good. Don't make it hard. Don't be like, I'm standing in this corner. I don't get a feeling of left or right. I don't know where to go. Just make it like, okay, I'm gonna go this way. Like just make it quick and easy. And the more you can play with your intuition and ask questions, the more it will help guide you on the important things too.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier, Liz, about trusting yourself. This will build self trust because when you make these small decisions, you can then make the bigger ones because you know what it feels like. And then you get evidence, right? Like when I first did this, I started taking intuitive training and it was write a journal, have evidence. Oh, I followed my intuition, this happened, right? And so then you show yourself, and that's one of the reasons that we teach making money following your intuition is like, oh my goodness, I did that, I followed my intuition, and now I have this practical thing that I can hold, right? That I can touch, that I can know. So as you keep doing this and you trust yourself more and more, and you allow yourself to dream as big as you want to dream, like we said, you just find yourself living it one day. You're like, oh, I actually saw this at one point in my third eye and my psychic vision, right? And now I'm living it in my everyday reality. So yeah, did you want to add something to it?
Just the trust in yourself. So
Yeah.
my biggest lesson that I learned in business was when I first started out. I started my business on my own, straight out of college, and I reached a point where I was so successful. Pretty much, I had so many clients and was making so much money, but I had no time. And I was just instead of turning to myself and maybe getting a coach, I took on a business partner. And although he was great, we weren't in alignment, and I joined with him out of fear because I didn't know where else to turn. And so that has been my biggest lesson in trusting yourself. Like when there's a time where you don't know what to do, trust yourself. If you need to find a coach or a guide, do that. But I gave away all my power into this partnership, gave up my business. And that's part of the reason why I've become a coach now is if I'd come across the right coach in that moment, I could have changed all these things in my business that would have led to a different type of success and a different type of life. But instead, it taught me the lesson I taught so that I can help my clients. But it's where are you not trusting yourself? Where are you afraid to take action? And those are the areas that take maybe it's something you can explore on your own. Maybe it's someone that you need a guide or you need support or you need to find some way to get through it with someone else.
Yeah, and we teach the Intuitive Success Club, and so you get her too, by the way. So
Yeah.
it's like we have the intuitive like guidance of, hey, here's the path. I mean, I've been doing it since I was 19. It works, right? She's done it now. She teaches it. But to me, it's in the practicality of taking the action, right? It's like, wow, I actually took that action, even if I was afraid, and I was then able to have a result, right?
Mhm.
And so just kind of look like, are you getting the results you want in your life right now or not? And where can you actually pivot and say, actually, this is the path I want to walk on? And I'm curious how you would describe the path, Alyssa, but I feel like it really ultimately is your soul path. And I think that's why I softened into it, because I actually trust you and I trust everybody that walks the journey with us, because everybody's connected to their intuition. So I know when we teach you the activations, success will inevitably happen
Mhm.
because you work, it works. So then it becomes a matter of, wow, am I willing to? Do I know that I deserve to have this beautiful life, right? And we help you clear out the blocks, the subconscious blocks that might be stopping you from actually trusting your intuition and taking that action. So for whatever reason, that just came in to just kind of be like, hey, like the practicality of it is really key.
It is, and that's the end thing. We want the results. We
Yeah.
want you to create the results, and that's my favorite part about working with clients. Is it's not. I don't take like responsibility for their results, but I'm like, look at the awesome things she's doing. All I had to do was show her the path, and she took off on her own. Like that's what it's like. It's like these pieces you've been ignoring or you didn't
Mm-hmm.
realize were important. And as soon as we point them out to you, and then we guide you through the process of actually living them, but especially clearing the blocks, that's a
Yeah.
huge part too. I know a lot of people sometimes don't like talking about the negative, but when you they're in your body, they're held in trauma, they're held in emotions, they're just held in your body. And so when we work through and help you clear them, you release them. You can say, thank you for serving me. And now I can release you. And then it clears your path. And that's really what we're doing is we're helping you find the clarity to connect with your path and then helping you on the way to clear the blocks so that your path is free and clear to get to your results.
Mhm. It's kind of like a kink in the hose, right? Like you have the hose going, it's like kink, it's like that's what a block is, right? And
Yeah.
so as you release it, then the water flows and you're like, man, I feel amazing. I have so much energy. Yes, because you're meant to.
Yeah. And you're meant to feel good along the way. And you're meant to have it's always going to be a journey. It's not always going to be easy, but you're meant to be learning from that and enjoying the journey no matter what it is too. And
Mhm.
so I just love that we get to celebrate our clients' wins and the things that they create for themselves because what you learn in the Intuitive Success Club lasts you a lifetime. I know in the video with Anna, you're talking about new level, new devil, and that's what it's like an onion. You're clearing
Yeah.
away the layers. You get this new level of success. I'm a gamer, so I look at it as leveling up. You're leveling up your skills, you're leveling up, and it just takes the higher you get, the longer it
Yeah.
takes to level up it to the next level because it's a little bit harder. So you're just leveling up each time. So sometimes, again, how can you gamify it? How can you be like, oh, I just leveled up today. Look at what I got through. Like this
Mhm.
is a huge hurdle for me, and now I've leveled up.
Yeah, absolutely. And having the community support, I know that's one of the things that's so valuable to me in my life is the community, right? Of like, you're not alone. Like, we've got
Mhm.
you, we've been there, like, we understand, and we actually see the best in you. And that, again, is something that supported me in my life is like people seeing me, right? And then when you're seen, you feel safe. You know, like, even in this moment, if you take it just like few deep breaths, put your hand on your heart and just breathe in and just be like, what's here for me? How do I see myself and my life from my heart? If I was to imagine that my heart had eyes, and then you could open your physical eyes and just observe everything. And I was telling my partner, maybe you too, somebody else, I'm like, I truly believe the next few several years, the currency is going to be the universal language of love. Like, whatever happens with external stuff, if we are in our hearts and we're actually feeling the frequency of our intuition, and the most valuable things to me now and probably then or coming up will be integrity, trust, right? Like relationships, right? So we can control that. We can control our ability to be there for each other, to see from our hearts, right? So as you're in that frequency of love, that literally is the gateway that opens the door to your intuition. And that's what we're going to share more with you about the Intuitive Success Club. So, do you want to share the site? Because she did the site and it's so beautiful. I'm just so proud. You should just go to the site because it's so pretty.
It's the intuitivesuccessclub.com. So yeah, you can just look up the intuitivesuccessclub.com. But one thing I want to add is that
Yeah.
you just see the best in people. You see their true potential and you see the possibilities. And that is the most powerful thing. When someone can see the future you that you have and help you step into that, then you really can become your future self as well.
Yeah. And really the first step is like, go to the site, you can do the enter thing, and that's our invitation to you to actually let us see you. Let us see you and your greatness, because they're going to be like, hey, this is how it works. But we want to take that time first to be like, this is what we see for you. So that's our gift to you. So you'll see it there. Where it says, my intuition says yes.
Yeah. And we're always happy to answer questions too, if you're not quite sure. But your intuition will tell you. That's the big defining factor with our clients is we're not here to convince you. We're here because we're connected. We're part of your journey to guide you to where you need to go. But we're not here to be like, hey, you have to work with us. We're like, all of our clients want to work with us.
Yeah.
I've actually had a couple clients the last 2 days, but like last few weeks, I thought we were just having a one-to-one, like just chatting, and they're like, how do I start working with you? I was like, okay, sure. Like, that's how it goes. Like, so you're just gonna know, and maybe you just need more information, and it takes time. Maybe you're ready now, but it's really just, what does your intuition, what do your dreams tell you? What does your heart tell you? And that is the way you can start following. And then what does it take to get there?
Yeah, your action steps. Yeah, it really is true. I was thinking about somebody, I think they found me on Facebook, and they're like, hey, I see you. How do I work with you? How much does it cost? Right? Like, it's simple. You're just like, and that's how we met. I remember you did the same thing. You're like, hi, I want to work with you. I was like, great, awesome. And then she became my best friend like 3 years later. But it's like, it's a journey. That's what I said. It's surprising, right? Like, you don't know until you know. And then you're like, oh my goodness, it's actually even better. It's even better. So whatever challenge you might be having in your life right now, if you are, I invite you to be willing to release it, because chances are there's something better waiting for you. If you can trust your intuition, learn how to develop it, start taking action on it, you can absolutely create a life and business you love. I know it because I've lived it for 19 years.
And everything I've done was following my intuition. I just didn't know that I was going to be teaching it to people until until I did all the work. I did all the mindset work myself, and then I did the Intuitive Success Club. And so that's where I'm like, it's going to take work to get to where you are. And you know it if there's this dream in your heart and you're just not sure how to get there. It seems like it's right there, but I just can't grab it. Or you've hit that level of success, but you're like, I don't feel fulfilled anymore. So it's okay, you've got some success, but you've lost your touch to your purpose. So it's bringing together the passion and your purpose with money so that you can make more, work less, and be able to give back to others in whatever form that looks like. Maybe it's in volunteer hours. Maybe the work you're doing is giving back to others and helping the world. So the ability to making money gives you freedom of money, freedom of choice, freedom of time. You can then choose where you're investing your money, what you're doing, who you're supporting. You can support other small businesswomen. I'm very big supporter of women in business. So you can even be making the money to be hiring other women in business or whatever your passion and call is.
I love that. Or go to oneheartglobal.co, follow our nonprofit for our kids. We help kids around the world and provide homes for love and safety if you do want to check that out. So, and of course, intuitive education. We are actually talking to family in Switzerland this morning. So it's really fun to realize we are always connected, right? So, man, girl, I feel complete and good. Anything else you want to share?
I just want to end with a question. And sometimes this takes a little bit of inner work, but if you knew you could succeed no matter what would you be doing different? If there was no chance of failure, if you would succeed, what would you do? What would be different in your life? Because if you've got the confidence, you can do it too. But sometimes it's the fear of failure, it's the fear of making it happen. But if no matter what happens, you knew you were going to create it, what would you be doing in your life? find what you need to get there. Find whether it's a mentor, it's a guide, it's a coach, it's a process.
Connecting to your intuition, right? Like, listen, it's there. The answer is always within, and that's what I think is so beautiful. It's not a reaching outside anymore. It's actually a going within and trusting that.
And take action on.
Very cool. Well, thanks, Liz.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, you guys, take care. Bye.